Hi, I'm Lori with Sport Horse Therapeutics, and I wanted to explain some things about trees that I think will help. I have some clients that just, it's hard to explain to them. I do a lot of remote work, what I need them to look for and feel for and watch out for when they're trying saddles, okay? Because the tree, I believe, is the most important part of the saddle. It has to fit your horse. It has to match your horse. The attributes, the curve, the width, everything has to fit your horse. And then you build from there, and you get yourself comfortable in the right seat, and you get your horse comfortable. But so I've got these things I want to speak to, but I'd like you to go in the comments. Do it. I appreciate everybody that likes my videos. I'm not real professional, and I'm not going to be, but just go in the comments and tell me if this is what you need to learn or if this is helpful. Because if you're going to get used saddles on trial, I'm like to the point where I'm like, stop the madness, because people are just trying, buying, selling trials, which include shipping, and then they come to me and they're like, I just tried a saddle and I have to return it tomorrow. But I'm like, hold on. Every saddle that you get on trial can be a really, really good learning tool. And it can help you. It can help me to help others. And we can deduce some things. So use your trial saddles as a tool, an investigative tool, to find out what works and what doesn't. Even if you don't know and you come to me for help, I know. So let's start with that. Okay, so wooden spring tree. This one, like I said, adjustable head plate with a press, and that's the guts of it. There's your skeleton. Okay, what are some things you should look for? Okay, let's go a step up. This one is obviously the panels are dropped, but it's got a little bit more material on it. Okay, so what have we got? We can see the tree, similar tree. Okay, wooden laminated tree, spring tree. This has a point billet. Point billet is attached where? You can feel for this under your panels, but I feel the end of it right here. Okay, why is that good to know? I mean, a settler can drop the panels and probably put a new billet on here for you, okay? This one's kind of old, so it could use one, but, and then rewrap it and it'd be done. If there are some saddles where the billets go up over and around the tree, not necessarily a bad thing, it adds stability, but they're not easily replaced, okay? I'm just giving you some for instances. Here's, your sliding rear billet. I'm sure you've heard of those, right? Here's one. This is an old saddle, but it's just one that I left apart because I can afford to, and it's a good show and tell tool. The sliding rear billets, how are they? Look at the way this one is done. I'm not real thrilled with it. Because, okay, I'll show you this. Can you see where the back half, well, and the front half, this one goes, there's the end of it right there. Okay, so it goes over the spring, nailed to the tree here, and stapled here. Then here it goes under the spring and around it, and it's stapled to the back. I want you to be able to see that. Okay, just something that it changes everything. Everything you do with the billet system changes the way the saddle will sit on your horse, the way it will be affected by the girth. It depends, of course, which kind of girth you have, and it can explain a lot of things. So when I get a saddle, even if I'm just reflocking the wool for you, I'm going to look at all this stuff, and I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to tell you some things that I see that can contribute to some issues you're having. Okay, Okay, so the other thing I see, okay, so I pick at everything, but I don't know, there's like a crease. If you can see that on each side. I don't know if it's from the way this webbing is wrapped around the spring. There's a crease here and here, right at the end of the webbing. I don't know, that could weaken it over time for sure. Okay, this is a weird, funky old head plate, so we're not going to talk about it much because it's not common. It does have the leather points, the leather tree points, which are nice on a saddle. If you have these, it's kind of nice. It gives a little extra cushion. It helps prevent the harder tree point itself from affecting your horse's scapula, behind their scapula. Okay, so those are just some things. This saddle has a bit of a curve to it, as you might be able to see if you just kind of look down it. Yeah, you have to roll your eye. If you got a tree that you can look down it and you don't have to rotate it to see the front and the back, and then you got a straight tree. All right, those are just some simple things, okay? Stirrup bars are big. Stirrup bars, you want to know where they are and how they protrude from your tree. Okay? The panels go right here, right? So that's your stirrup hanger, your stirrup bar right here. So if your panel lies evenly on both sides against the horse, of course. But if you slide under and you can feel your panel and you don't feel this as being a lump, when you go under your panel, then it's not a pressure point for your horse. Okay, I'll show you again on a assembled saddle. All right, I've got two different kinds of saddles and different kinds of panels here that I just grabbed. And here, I just threw these on here. Pet peeve, make sure your billets are flat. Make sure everything is hanging nice and flat. This one has a third billet option on it. I'm going to just go through the features as I think of them. Okay, so when you have 3 billet straps, count yourself lucky, because you definitely might need them someday. You might want to use 2 on one side and 1 on the other, but that's more for jumping saddles that have like 3 or 4 billets. The dressage ones, you typically use the same 2 on each side, but do not cut them off. Never, ever cut them off, okay? But if they're there, like mine, I just leave them hang, okay? This saddle came to me, you can kind of see some holes in here with the billets on this one, and I moved them to the front, okay? But make sure when you saddle up, you run your hand under the flap and make sure it's laying flat. So this will be against your saddle pad. So just make sure you know where that is and it's flat. Okay. If you've got, well, I'll show you on a different saddle. This one, stirrup bars are nice and like recessed. I don't know if I would call them recessed, but they're nicely aligned with the tree, okay? So when I'm reaching my hand under the panel, I want to basically, this is fun, isn't it? See my fingers on the other side? Can you see it? Okay. You can't do that all the way down, and every saddle's different. But you want to try. You can do this. You can do this. Your horse will appreciate it. Get under your panel. Slide your hand back as far as you can. When you go over that stirrup bar, you shouldn't feel a big lump there. It shouldn't hurt your fingers. Because if it does, it's hurting your horse. So these panels look nice and full, but they're really squishy because it's recently reflect. But that doesn't matter. it doesn't matter really how thick your panels are. If you have a lump under there, it's not only a pressure point, it could cause a rock, it could cause tipping. I mean, depending on what your horse's musculature is at that very point. So just so you know, what we're looking at here for the panel type is what you call a half panel. This is Harry Dobbs Future panel, you know, to give a little bit more shoulder room. If you got a big shouldered horse or a big wide horse, these don't go all the way down, which can cause them to rock. Half panel, whatever fits horses that are wider better. Okay. It also can be filled in for a, you know, a thoroughbred with a hollow, but usually they long points, panel points, they'll call it. Everybody calls them something different depending on where you're who you're talking to and what part of the country. But also what I wanted to point out is this is called an independent panel. They are screwed in here with a little felt dot here and stitched against the flap. And if you have longer panels, they'll be stitched right into under the knee block. Okay, so these can be taken apart a little bit more easily. Also in the back, same thing. Independent panels don't have the piece of leather that holds them together in the front and in the back. Okay, it allows them to kind of conform to the horse a little bit better and independently. Okay, let's try to keep this from not getting too long. But like I said, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the comments and you're going to ask what you want to ask. I'm just guessing. I'm just going off a couple recent questions and fittings I've done. This is what you call an integrated panel. Okay, see that leather? Okay, this, if you drop these panels, and I can show you some I've got taken apart, but they're integrated in the front and in the back. Okay, just a little different kind of panel, and your saddle fitter has to access things a little bit differently is all. More stitching to do when you go to reflock the wool. If you're wondering why it costs a little bit more, it takes a little longer, all this stitching has to come undone and be put back in. Whereas in the other saddle I just showed you, all you have to do is unscrew the front end. But the nice thing is that these panels are attached to the saddle here. So all you have to do is drop it, pull it out of the point pockets, and you're done. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both kinds. Remember how we were talking about feeling under the panel? Okay. This saddle has, can you see it? Adjustable. This is an adjustable stirrup bar. You can loosen it up and you can slide it forwards and backwards where you need it. Okay? Cool idea, right? But depending on the saddler and how they're made, you have to be very careful. So what am I going to do? I'm going to slide my hand in under the panel. Trust me, I'm getting there. Okay. See my fingers? Oh. See my fingers? I hope so. Okay. A little harder to slide up and down on this one because they're integrated, and right here it's sewn to the flap. But what I can feel, if I come in from this side, I feel that stirrup bar. It's not bad on the saddle. I just want you to know, actually this saddle is really quite nice because I can slide my my fingers down, and I'm not feeling a lump. But can you imagine what a stirrup bar, so it's on the tree. No, this one I want to show you. Okay, it's on the tree. There we go. Okay. Now, if it doesn't follow the tree, and a lot of them don't, what happens is they get turned in a little. That can happen from a rider. That can happen from how they were attached. But if you don't feel that this is flush, when you're sliding your hand under the panel, that's going to be a really big pressure point, because look how long that stirrup bar is. We're talking about dressage saddles here today, okay? So, all right. You need to tell me what else you would like to know, because I can help you look at your saddle and understand what's going on with it, what can be changed. I mean, billets, placement, all kinds of stuff can be changed. I showed you some things that are, you know, you can work with them, you can change them. But I want you to have, to be empowered to know how to look at your saddle and see. I mean, don't give up on your saddle too quick, and do give up on your saddle if it's just wrong. So, okay, let me know in the comments, like this post, and let me know, you know, if I should cover something that you'd like to hear. I don't mind doing videos. It's freezing out. It's winter. What else are we going to do? Oh, yeah. Get your saddle reflocked. That's what you do in the winter. So you're like, maybe riding, you know, unless you have an indoor and you're in a warm state, whatever. Most of my stuff is remote. You can ship it to me. Unless you've got an awesome saddle right down the road, but I've got a ton of different kinds of beautiful flocking, Jacob's wool, long fiber wool, you know, I have beautiful flocking and I got a ton of it. So I'm ready to flock some saddles. If you are having any downtime in this cold, have your saddle reflocked. You will be amazed the difference. It'll shape your horse. Your horse will be like, ooh, you know, there's nothing hard and rigid. If you can't compress it, you can watch another one of my videos on this, but I'll come up with some more. If you can't like compress it, that's a really bad sign. I'm just going to leave it at that. But you will feel the difference. I'm not even saying your horse will feel the difference only, because you will. You really will. And this is the time to do it. It's a maintenance thing. I don't say, some people are like, you have to do it every year. I'm like, no, not every year. I mean, some people get away with it settling really nicely, being even and staying resilient because they care for everything really good. And it's like maybe every 5 years. I would say every 3. I do mine like every 2 because I can and I feel like it. But no, you know, it's just a maintenance thing that you should do. Okay. Thank you.